Today I played the final game in my chess tournament, and this game was going to decide if I won a medal or not. Now before this game, I had played just about the level that I needed to be able to fight for a medal, but it was this game that decided if I actually got it or not. Now right now I'm sitting in the playing venue where all the games took place. I actually used to sit right over there and play my chess games. And we're seeing the arbiters pack everything up, and I'm going to show you the most important game of my tournament. So, round number 9, everybody. I was playing against Michael Arovian, Swedish and English over there, but he was 2000 rated, and he'd done a performance of 2080, so a little bit above his level. So I knew that this was not going to be an easy game. I really needed to win here with the white pieces. So I started with the move d4, of course. He played g6, and here we can see that it all transposed to a King's India. Now, I always play my little h3 move. The idea of this is to prevent bishop g4 and to stop this bishop from having any good squares in the diagonal. So he played knight bd7. I got my bishop out to e3 just to maybe put a little bit more of defense on this pawn on d4 and stop a little bit more c5. He went c6, and here I started thinking, okay, like, what is going on? I actually hadn't played against this opening in a very long time. And my question was, where is his king going right now? It all felt like he should castle, but he wasn't really castling. So I was a little bit surprised about his opening choice. And here I decided to go for a very aggressive move, g4. Now, is this the best move in the position? No, I could play bishop e2. I could do some common and sound development. You know, guys, you should get your pieces out. But what did I do? I went against the rules of chess, and I decided to just move my pawn up 2 steps. So here he went queen a5, threatening to capture on e4, and I went queen d2 to stop this. Now, in this position, it was actually quite funny because I really needed to go to the bathroom, and yeah, the moment that he played this move, I was like, I really need to go to the bathroom. So I didn't really think a lot about this move. I just went queen d2 and literally ran up. But it made sense. I'm stopping the pin and I'm stopping him from capturing here. And the queen is going to go to d2 anyways. This is the right diagonal for the queen and the bishop. So he went h5, which I thought was really surprising. And a lot of times it makes sense to go h5 in these lines because this pawn on g4 is kind of weak. And in this position, I cannot go f3 because there is a pin going on over here. So I cannot defend the pawn. So he's basically saying after going h5 that, Anna, you got to go g5. And now the whole king side is going to be closed, he thought. But the situation here is that his king is not castled. So actually, the question is, where does his knight go? So I went g5 here, and I thought he was going to go knight h7 to castle, but he went knight g8. And, well, I started realizing this king over here, it's very unsafe. Where is the king going? So I decided to continue, before I did that, I went f4 because I wanted, one, to stop the knight from having any squares. I wanted to take some space, and I also wanted to keep this pawn protected forever. And I had one plan in this position, which was to go f5. I really, really, really wanted to go f5 because this was my only way of breaking the king side. Now, I thought he couldn't castle this way because, well, it's going to take a long time for him to do so, and if he's going to castle this way, then f5 is going to be very strong. So I was trying to create some pawn breaks. Now here he played e6, and in this position, I decided to do a very natural move, which is simply to go bishop d3, just get my bishop out. But this was actually a crucial point in the game because I had a move that I did not see at first, or actually I didn't see during the game. But obviously my commentator, very strong grandmaster, 2600 hammer, of course he saw it. He's from Norway, by the way, and Norwegians are good at chess. So he told me that I should have played f5 in this position, which is a very nice move. What is the idea of that? Well, the idea is that I wanted to play f5, like I was saying, it's a good pawn break, and I'm actually in this position sacrificing a pawn, but if he would just simply take with the pawn, we could see that his pawn structure would become absolutely horrendous. It would become so bad because all his pawns would be completely unprotected, and they would be very, very weak and isolated. And in this position, if he captures with the queen, this move actually loses due to knight b5. Look at that move. So pretty. What is the idea? Well, the idea is that I'm threatening to go knight c7 check or knight d6 fork, And if he captures, which he has to do, there's bishop d3, and boom, the queen is trapped. If that is not beautiful, I don't know what beautiful is. So that would have been pretty nice, but I didn't see that. Instead of going f5, I went bishop d3 and just got my bishop out. But this whole key idea of f5 becomes crucial throughout the whole game. So he played knight e7 to get his pieces out, and I went knight e2 because I was trying once again to go h4, knight g3, and push. Here, once again, I was expecting him to go castles to develop, but he played a6, which I thought was a very, very, very slow move. I just thought that this move wasn't really doing much. He wanted to go b5, but I think his whole plan is a little bit too slow. He needs to get his king to safety. In this position, at first I had thought that I was going to castle queenside because my pawns are very advanced in front of my king, but I actually realized that I wanted to castle kingside because once again I want to play f5, and this rook on f1 is helping to support this, this push. But not only that, right now my king is not protecting the queen, which is good because sometimes I might actually have ideas of going knight d5, and then if queen takes queen, at some point there perhaps could be some knight c7 check intermediate move. Not at this point, but the point is that I don't want him to capture here with check. I want to be able to do some intermediate moves. So he actually got pretty scared of me going f5. So he went back with the knights. I mean, he was dancing around with the knights. The idea of this is that he has his bishop stopping me from going f5, but I thought he had lost so many tempos going back and forth with his pieces. I was very shocked at this point. So I knew that here I had a completely crushing position. Now, in this position, I went for a very slow move, h4, which there's nothing wrong with it, but it would have been better to go e5 here, which would be very, very nice because after e5, if he would go knight f5, then we have this idea that I was saying that, wait, before, let's say, e5 this, then in this position, if knight f5, I can take it, but in this position, I can go knight e4, and this is really pretty because after queen takes, there's knight check, and you guys can see that now my short castles became really good. And after the king moves, I'll capture back, and we can see that his pieces are just not working in this position. So e5 was a crucial move over here, but it also became crucial in later parts. And I saw it, but I just didn't want to exchange queens because I really wanted to go full-on attack. And I kind of had in my brain the sort of quote that if you're attacking, you shouldn't exchange queens, even if you get a good endgame. So that's kind of what I was thinking about. So I went h4 with the idea of going knight g3 and then f5. Now, in this position, he went knight h7, which once again just felt so incredibly slow. I played knight g3, and he went f5 here, which was actually a really important move for him, I think. The idea is that if he would have castled, I would just have gone f5, and this move would have been crushing because it would completely destroy his pawn structure, and this pawn right here would become very weak right in front of the king. It would be a disaster. So he cannot go for that move. Now, here, like I said, he played f5, which was really good, stopping me from going here. And I decided that I had to capture en passant, not because en passant is always forced, but simply because I thought that my pieces would just become a lot more active, and I didn't want to close down the whole king side. So I decided to capture, and he captured back with the bishop. And when he did that, I was pretty shocked because I really thought he had to capture with the knight, but he took with the bishop, threatening my pawn. I went e5, threatening the bishop, forcing him to capture. Knight e4, threatening this pawn on d6. He has to go knight f5 to defend, and here I simply captured. And now we're equal material, but we can see that his pawns are just very, very, very weak in front of the king. And the question is, where does the king go? Well, the king goes to f7 because I'm threatening this pawn on g6. And in this position, this is now a moment where the whole position has changed. We can see that my pawn structure is not the same as before. It's here where I had to start regrouping my brain and come up with a new plan. So I decided to go for a plan where I was really attacking g6, but actually a really good plan here would have been to simply just get a good position, in the sense that I was very low on time here, so it would have been better for me to just do like very natural moves. For instance, going queen h2, threatening the bishop to come back, going c5, knight e4, knight g5, etc. A plan like this would have been better. But I went king h1 because I thought that the king would not be safe here, and I wanted to go rook g1 and put a lot of pressure on g6. he played bishop d7, simply getting his bishop out, and he actually looked a little bit surprised when I went king h1. So I went rook g1, threatening the pawn, rook a g8, and here, once again, c5 would have been a really good move. I decided to go for b4 first, which wasn't really good because I was able to get his queen to d8, and his queen is actually better on d8 than what it is over here. He cannot capture because then I'll go rook b1 and capture there. So he went queen d8, and this, guys, is the crucial moment. I had maybe 1 minute on the clock, and when you have 1 minute on the clock, you're not really supposed to do very forcing moves because they can either be really good or really bad, and you just gotta stick with the consequences. Like, you don't have time to figure stuff out. So you should just play good moves that are natural and solid. But what did I do? I did the opposite of that, guys. I decided that I wanted to make this game a roller coaster for the drama, guys, for the drama. And I went d5. Now, this move is terrible because actually in this position, what I'm doing is that I am playing against my opponent's pieces. This knight sucks, this bishop sucks, this queen sucks, the rook suck. But the moment I go d5, I'm actually opening up diagonals for my opponent. So this was a really bad move because my king is also becoming a lot more unsafe than I am expecting. But this wasn't everything, guys. I decided that after going d5, I had to give you guys a little bit more of a roller coaster. And what did I decide to do? I decided to give another pawn. Guys, I really thought that this was good because everything that I was focusing on was on my opponent's king. I thought that I had to open up my opponent's king, and in my brain it had been engraved the whole game that I should go f5 to make this king super weak. But I think that I didn't realize in the process that this king is now surrounded by a bunch of pieces and is actually safe right now. So f5 is a huge blunder that made black be in a winning position. He should just capture on f5, and after captures, actually his plan is to go rook g4 and maybe bishop g3 and checkmate me. I mean, like, my king is so weak over here, and I don't want to capture here because I don't want to open up this diagonal. So if he would have captured on f5, I would have been in so much trouble. So it was really a huge mistake for me to go d5 and f5. My mom typically says that when you, many games that you end up getting a really bad position, it's not because you did one bad move, it's because you did two bad moves in a row or very close to each other. And that's exactly what happened. I went from being completely winning to be losing after f5. Now, I realized when I was at the board that, wait a second, g takes f5, what happens? This looks really good for him. And I really regretted the move. But luckily, he played g5, blocking his own pieces and not capturing. He was too scared to open up the f-file. So here I captured on d5, and he played g4, just to get this pawn running and to go knight g5 and knight f3. I decided to go bishop c4, and here he played a fantastic move, c5, blocking this bishop. I have to take it back. And here, guys, he made a huge blunder, like incredibly huge. And it's kind of ironic because it went from him really not wanting to capture here with the pawn because he didn't want to open the f-file, but he went bishop takes f5 here. And after bishop takes f5, we can see that the king and the bishop are in the same file. So I played very quickly rook a f1, threatening the bishop, and he pretty much has to defend it by going king g6. And here I immediately captured without thinking because I knew that this had to be a checkmate. The king is so weak in the middle of the board. King takes f5, and this is actually a checkmate in 3. You go rook f1, which I did. I was very low on time here, but rook f1 check, king g6, bishop d3, and he resigned because after king g7, there's bishop h6 checkmate, and there was nothing else he could do. So guys, I ended up winning my last chess game in Rilton. I'm really happy. I ended up taking 6.5 points out of 9, and I ended up 9th in the tournament. Let's go, top 10. So I actually got a little silver medal that I haven't lost it. Okay, I may have lost it, guys. I may have lost my silver medal. No, it's not lost. It's just somewhere, guys. It's somewhere. But I'm really happy. I got a medal, everybody. I'm super duper happy. And it was a really great tournament. I actually also ended up winning my rating group. So I got 2 prizes. First, the 9th being 9th in the tournament prize, but 2 being the first or number 1 in the number 1 rating group, the highest rating group of the tournament. So I ended up winning a little bit of money and a medal, and that is everything that matters. I ended up losing like 4 points of rating, so I lost a little bit, but it really was not much. So one can say that I performed like my rating pretty much. I think I had a rating performance of around 2050, so it was pretty much what my rating was. And the only guy that I lost against came second in the tournament. Manmai Chopra, he got second, and he's the one game that I lost, so I'm not sad about that. I do hope, everybody, that you've enjoyed the tournament content. It's been daily uploads for a very long time now, for 9 days, pretty much apart from one day, but almost daily uploads for a very long time. It's been so fun to do this. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more tournament content in the future. But we will be going back now to posting other types of videos that are non-tournament videos. But thank you guys so much for watching all of these recaps, commenting, liking, and just simply supporting me throughout the tournament. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!